unmute my mic. Hang on.
We have to mute and unmute. Hi guys.
Welcome to Bridge of Testimonies. I'm Jake.
Hi, I'm Aubrey.
Kasey.
And today we're joined by a special guest. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Kasey. Nice to meet you.
Kasey, thank you so much for joining us today. Really, we're going to be getting into a little bit about your testimony, whatever you're wanting to bring to the table today, whatever you're wanting to share with the world. Keep in mind that your testimony is just so incredibly important. And I want everyone to know out there that we have been fortunate enough to know Kasey for a short time, but what a light that he's been. Just the faith that he has, the knowledge that he has. It's just so incredible. He's an incredible person. So I'm so excited to get to hear a little bit about your journey today, dive into it just a little bit more.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for the kind words, first and foremost. Grateful that God has crossed both of our paths, man. Y'all are incredibly inspiring. Just living out what God has called y'all to do, not only as husband and wives, but individuals as well. And just seeing y'all walk in that purpose, man, just it's different. It's different in what God created, man. And so love that, and always praying for you guys. But I'll start, man. Yeah, I grew up younger brother. My dad was a fireman in North Dallas, fireman paramedic. My mom was a teacher. Um, Growing up until about 8, 9 years old, pretty normal life, I would say, normal American life. We would go to church maybe um, once or twice every month or two. We go to Sunday school. Maybe sometimes we call it big church. We sit in church, and but around 10 years old, my parents divorced, and right after we just built the house. And so my dad moved about 15, 20 minutes away. And from about 10 years old to 25, I very rarely went to church at all. Maybe a handful of times from 10 all the way to 25. And from a very early age, I had always felt God's call in my life to be different, to be better, to be a light in the world. Sometimes I just didn't know why. And plenty of times failed at that. But I always considered myself a Christian. Got to college, played baseball in college, and until I was 25, and had a lot of great times with that and a lot of lowest times of my life with that. And that was kind of my identity with sports throughout my entire life. I was decent. And so playing sports and it almost daily of your life for 20 years, and then all of a sudden one day it ending, you kind of lose your purpose, or feel like you lose your purpose. And so to rewind a little bit through college, um, I always consider myself a Christian, but went from not partying at all to, hey, the baseball guys come out. Hey, just come out with the baseball guys. You don't have to drink. And so eventually compromised and went out. And then that turned into, hey, just have one drink. Hey, just have two drinks, to full on partying for probably about a year of my life in college with baseball. And that just shows you, again, I love the guys, but that shows you how important community is to surround yourself with. That led me into a horrible relationship. That led me to, again, drink with the baseball guys more than I should have. It led me to be a little bit lazy on some of the things I should have been doing on the sports side. And so that kind of carried over into right at when I graduated college, now what? And so from going from again, playing sports every day of your life and all that to nothing, and then just got out of a horrible relationship. The worst part of my life, I knew this calling inside of me. I knew I had to get plugged into a church. Whereas I consider myself a Christian, it was more lukewarm than anything else. It was worldly. It was, hey, I'm not as bad as they are, so that makes me more Christian, which is a wrong way to look at it. And also, it was a wrong way to look at it in the fact that some of the people I knew who were going to church, who said that they were Christians, were some of the worst people I knew. And so, how does someone who say they wear the same jersey as me yet play for the other team? Why would I want to go where they're going? And so that was a bad excuse for me to not go to church throughout college. But that was kind of my mindset of it was, hey, I don't want to go somewhere where I know sinners are going. And January 24th, 2020, on a Thursday night, was the first day I stepped foot into Compass Church in Roanoke, and Nathan Lewis preached a sermon about Nehemiah and heartbreak. And as you can tell, I've not left since. And I know God used that to radically change my life. And I consider that probably that around that time was when I was officially probably saved, because that's when I truly made the choice to follow Jesus, not just say I was a Christian or have a Bible verse in my bio or any of that stuff. It was to actually follow Christ, which is the English translation of Christ follower is Christian. So it wasn't just a lukewarm for me. It was now I'm plugged into the source of life, and it radically changed my life. And for first time I sat down and if anyone knows me, they know I hate to read. I would rather watch something, see something, listen to something. I'm a pro audiobook guy. I would do that all day. I love music, all that. But sitting down and read, I hate. So sitting down to read the Bible is hard for me. But I knew the fruit that it would produce. And so that was the first time that I actually sat down and delved into the Bible. I'm 25 years old, just graduated college, officially done with sports. Don't know where I'm going to go in my career. Just got out of a horrible relationship. Just, you know, left all the teammates I'd been around with every single day for 3 years. Now I won't see most of them ever again. The coaches I'll never see ever again. And so I was at this point of just now what? So it's completely new. And uh, God used God used the worst time of my life right there and the biggest uncertainty to say, hey, just come to me. And he took care of the rest. All I did was show up. All I did was show up. Hey, open arms. I don't have anything else. I don't know what my identity is now. These gifts I thought you gave me. Now what? Now what do I do with them? I'm done with sports. Now do I go to be a coach? Do I go, you know, go my uh, degrees in business? Do I now go to, business degree stuff? Do I go be a marketer? Do I go try to run a business, get involved in a business? Do I be a personal trainer? At the time I was in good shape. I didn't know what, but just surrendering it all at his feet. Like, hey, I don't know where you're taking me, but I'm going to trust you with this next step, led me to my biggest blessings in my life. And that was to get plugged into Compass. Um, and not only that, find community and find purpose and find calling and find um, roots being plugged in somewhere and a home. And that was something that I didn't have, was a home. And so, uh, again, someone where parents divorced when you're 10, 11 years old, and then Christmas breaks and summer breaks throughout college, where all my teammates are going back home to one home and training and working out. I'm going to three. I'm going to my brothers, my moms, and my dad's. And so I'm back and forth between all three, working out myself, hitting and doing everything I can do by myself. And so I was absent of that home. And God through Compass has given me that. And still to this day, just following him in those steps led me to get involved in youth ministry, led me to get involved in young adults, and to serve on the prayer team sometimes on Sundays, and just equip me with those conversations to have like this right here. And man, I'm deeply thankful for maybe the heartbreak is the best way to put it, is maybe had things gone exactly how I wanted them to go, I would have truly never been empty enough to be filled with God's word. And because that was everything that I thought my purpose was for, was stripped from me, that God could fill those holes that only He can. And we all have that God-sized heart, God-sized hole in our hearts, that only He can fill. And so, yeah, that was a kind of a long, brief summary, but yeah, man, God's radically changed my life. I'm 30 now, and yes, following Christ isn't easy. The prosperity gospel will never work, um, but I'm so thankful because when the world loses their hope, we will never lose our hope because we have something that's greater, and we have something to hope for at the end of the day that the world doesn't have, and that's the hope of Jesus Christ coming back. And so we know that no matter what, whether it's disappointment in our sports, whether it's career, whether it's band, whether it's a bad grade in a class, or your parents' divorce, or make a bad mistake in a relationship, or lose a friend, or lose a parent, or lose a loved one, we know that God is there through it all, and we know that God's plans are greater than ours. And so we have that hope, and no matter what it is that we do, we can have that peace because this peace transcends all understanding. And so that learning that has given me that hope and peace I'd never had before. So
As Matt Rife would say, that's good. That's good. Man, there's so many underlying themes and so many parts of your testimony that I think are so important for so many people to grasp. And I think a lot of people do go through these times where they think that they're set up for something. In your case, it was baseball. You had trained your whole life, you had put in the work, you were practicing, you were going to games, you were traveling, you were doing all of these things thinking that this was going to be your way, and God took you on a different path. And that was heartbreaking at the time. But how was there ever a point during that time where you were maybe frustrated with God, or maybe you were upset with that direction, or I mean, how did you handle that transition?
that's a great question. Man, there's multiple points throughout my baseball career that was, it wasn't like a mad at God, but it was like a why me? And so to go from so 2 weeks before I was going into college to pitch, I found out I had a career-ending pitching injury, labrum torn, 20% of my rotator cuff gone, and then three degenerative discs in my back, in between my shoulder blade. I had the equivalent of a 40-year-old shoulder at 18 years old, due from overuse in high school. My schedule every week for 3 or 4 years was throw a complete game, no matter how many pitches, on a Monday. On a Tuesday, it was a upper body workout for football, and then football stuff after, then track practice, then baseball, and then Wednesday was lower body, track practice, throw football, then go to baseball. Thursday, upper body, track meet, Friday it was play shortstop. And so for 3 or 4 years, that was it. And there's no recovery. And so when I got to 18 years old, where, most of the guys that actually every single person I played with in college had, and guys that are in the pros and all that, all of them had recovery that I didn't have. And so when I got to college and I transitioned to third base, shortstop, and redshirt in my first year, um, which I had played those positions, but I got better looks as a pitcher, and so I was wrestling with that straight off going into college because, especially after seeing the jumps and leaps that pitchers around my talent made and were getting drafted or getting looks from 30 MLB teams, where I felt I was personally a little better, and they would probably tell you that. Um, that was heartbreaking because it's like, hey, had these injuries not happened, or hey, if I went to a different school, or hey, if I had that recovery, hey, if I had that training, if I had that, could I've ultimately reached my dream? I was super close, and so yeah, there was plenty of that. Not just the first year, or even right before I stepped into it, but towards the end, there's a lot of questioning and stuff. The last guy I hit a home run off of got drafted and played in Double A for the Brewers, and so like knowing that you had the talent and maybe just didn't put it together, which again I personally want to say I could have played better, but um, knowing that you were so close and didn't reach it is one of the hardest questions. Is, God, why did I have this dream? Why did I have these gifts and then get so close to it just to have it drop and break right in front of my face, or right before I reached and grabbed it? And so for a while there, yeah, that was something I wrestled with. Is I just didn't understand why. And guys I grew up playing with and against it made it. A few of them World Series champions, and so that's one of the things that it's like, man, could that have been me? And over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been completely content with that not being me, because I know that if I truly believe what the Bible says, if I truly believe the words of Jesus, then I know that his plans are greater than anything I could come up with. And that's the piece that I can have in that. Whereas personally, yeah, I would love to do that. I would have loved more than anything in the world to have made it. But if I would have gained the world yet lose my soul, then would have been worth it. And so that's the whole plan, is, or that's the whole piece that we can have, and that is that no matter what, whether we get fired tomorrow from our jobs, whether our cars break down, whether, whatever it is, that, hey, I know that I'm not alone in this, and I can have peace because that transcends anything that I can understand. And that the last 5 years since getting plugged in, that's really helped me move past that. That, yes, that was my gifts at a time, and I still talk to all my teammates and stuff today, love them, and a few of them have got saved within the last few years, which is the biggest blessing, and so uh, I'm thankful that all the people that God led me to meet during that time, and I know that was the point of the gifts and the tools and the pain and all of that, was to meet all the teammates and coaches and players and classmates that I had at the places I was at, and hopefully left the best impression I could, and just praying for more and more of them to be saved. So, yeah.
My bad, sorry. Our kid shouting in the background. It's so crazy how similar, um, a little bit of our testimonies is, because I was also in that same boat. sort of, not necessarily. I wasn't a pitcher. I wasn't allowed to be a pitcher for that reason, actually. But I was good in some areas, but I was not good in the areas that mattered.
Yeah.
I remember I had to take throwing lessons. Throwing, not pitching, throwing
Throwing. Yeah.
lessons, not hitting, throwing. That's the and that was, when you're an outfielder, it's kind of important. So
Yep.
I was doing that. I was doing select. I was doing high school varsity, and
Hmm.
I get it 100%. And by the time college came around, I was so burnt out. Um, I didn't end up going, but I also that's all I knew.
Right.
So when I decided not to go for softball, I was so lost. I think I was lost up until the last 2 years, maybe even after we had Grace. So I 100% understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's clicked for me the last few years, especially watching it on TV, and even yesterday, shout out to the USA hockey team for winning and gold medals, stuff like that. I think with sports and like famous artists and stuff, you get the highest form of quote unquote worship or praise a human can get. You have all these people, like if you're playing sports, you have all these people in the stands watching you. You do something good, everybody in the stands or watching you praises you, or like, wow, that's my favorite. And so they follow you, they love you, they support you and all of that. And so to go from having like the highest form of I guess infatuation or whatever from fans and people to not having that at all, you're like, now what do I do? All of these people love me because I'm good at this, and now the thing I'm good for is taken from me. So now what is it? And spending all the time, like you said, like spending the lessons and the time in the cages and the practices and all of that is like, now that's all gone, and all my hard work was for nothing. Now what? Now what do I do? And I think really it's a dangerous spot for sports players and artists and people like that, because if you don't have that community and support, then you got it's I mean, you see it all the time, unfortunately, in the world today, man. A lot of there was one just the other day, 2 days ago, that it's an NFL player committed suicide. And so um again, we we could give a ton of examples of why community is so important, but you have to have that community to rely on, and especially times like that. So
I do think that we are fundamentally people that do need community. We're called, as it says in Genesis, to find one another, to be near one another. That's why God gave Adam Eve, and I think in some terms why God even created us to begin with is so that that we could worship Him, we could be near Him. But in this case, I think that that is very important. Everything that you said is just so incredibly important, especially nowadays where the individual is starting to become the main point rather than it being
yep.
the community. And I think a lot of people, whether it be people coming out of the military and not knowing where they belong, people that do play sports their entire lives, and maybe it's an injury, maybe they weren't good enough, maybe they were just overlooked and they didn't get the opportunity, maybe they couldn't afford it at the end of the day to get to that next level, and they've worked so hard for this one thing, and God says, hey, let me take you and use you in a different way. And I will say that through my experience getting to know you, the attributes that you had gained through playing that sport have made you such a wonderful individual to know. The loyalty, the perseverance, the hard work, all of those things that you gained through playing that sport, I will say it bleeds through your faith. It bleeds through how you talk to people and how you impact people around you. And it really is a testament to even this, because you have to have the courage to go out and perform. You have to have the courage to get on here in front of as of right now, tens of people, and be able to share your testimony, what happened in your life, what went wrong, some of the vulnerabilities that you've had. I think all of that is part of what God has had for you. And I just can't wait to see, as I get to kind of walk alongside you on this path of faith, the man that you become. Because you know what, you're gonna have a beautiful wife. If y'all decide y'all are gonna have some great kids, you're gonna be able to pass this on, and be fruitful, multiply, things like that. But really, at the end of the day, man, what a blessing you are for the people around you and the people that will come to know you.
Man, I appreciate that. That made my year so far, man. No, I'm super thankful and blessed where the Lord's had me and the people that He's brought into my life, man. It's just every day a new blessing, a renewed blessing, man. And that's my prayer is, and I know that's our prayer actually. Not just as Christ followers, but us three here, is just to glorify Him in everything we do. And that's whether we're getting a haircut today or going to the store or getting gas or at church or at school or at our jobs. It's just so important for us to just glorify Him in everything, man. And I know for sure with y'all too, He's getting the glory. So thank you so much, man, for the kind words, and just looking forward to just keep recruiting warriors for the kingdom with you guys, man. I know y'all are doing the same. And Aubrey, you painting at conference again this year?
She is not painting at conference. She's actually this year she's going to take the opportunity to spend some time with her girls. So
Smart.
yeah, she's going to pour into them.
Smart. That's smart. I'm
Well,
excited to experience it with you guys again, man. And love y'all, and thank you again for just inviting me on, man. I'm excited to see where this goes. And definitely you have a fan here, at least one. So now 11s of fans. And so, yeah, always, man.
well, excellent. Thank you so much, Kasey. We appreciate you.
Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. See y'all.
Later. Well, Aubrey's headphones died. So yeah, so we are going to cut it there. We appreciate anyone that has tuned in. We did have another potential testimony tonight with Tim. Tim, we are going to have you on our next episode. We hope for Sunday. Thank you so much to Kasey for coming on here. The courage, the vulnerability that it takes to be able to come and share your testimony. That's exactly what we're all about here. We want you to be able to connect to Christ, to hear stories from real people that are going on their walk and their journey. So thank you to everyone. If you have any prayer requests, or you would like to share your testimony in the future and talk about Jesus, or maybe there's something you've been struggling with that you would like to build a community around yourself, we would love to support you in that. Yep, Tim, feel free, reach out. I'll reach out to you after this. We'll go ahead and make sure that you get on this next episode. Thank y'all, and y'all have a good night.
I've been walking through the shadows of my own mistakes, trying hard to find